question, I guess, or say something, let me know. Comment in the comments too so I can see your nerd status so that I do not accidentally miss you. Yeah, I thought we weren't going to have a live tonight because TikTok was acting sick. You're not a dragon in this space. We have a Mac, but it's a Mac Luster, not a Mac West, who is a dragon. And that would not be you, Fred. Hey, Toast. Hey, you never answered me yesterday. Was yesterday your birthday? It's glitching? Hey, Heretic. Oh, it wasn't. It was somebody's birthday in the Discord. I can't remember who it was. I thought it was you. Hey, Sophie. What's up, TY? I'm making a mental note, Casey. Oh, Toast's birthday is in August. You may be a dragon on TV, but you're not one in this space, Mac West. That's all I care about. Wherever else you identify as a dragon, that has nothing to do with me. And that might be true, but it ain't got nothing to do with me in here. What's up to the YouTubers over there? Eve, what's up? Oh, sorry. Eve, Cindy Prim, Dagon, Dagobah Dave, what's up, Love Bug? 33, what's up? Welcome to the Xenorators. I appreciate y'all so much. Y'all, we are at 46 shares, 6 minutes into the stream. Let's try to get to 100 within the first 15 minutes. I appreciate y'all. What did you say? I speak the same, I go again. That's fine, but you're still not a dragon in this book. I mean, you're still not a dragon in this space. I mean, it's no hate, no shade. You're not a dragon. Like, you shouldn't take that personally. Like, you can clearly see people have badges next to their usernames. Dragons have been a part of this community for a year or more. Like, no one's trying to like throw salt on your game. What's up, Unique? Hey, Mr. Curtis. What's up, Alexander? Alexander said he'll be a dragon next month. Unbaptized and unbothered. What's up? Hey, Gig. La Piquette. What's up? Hey, Shaky Decky. You say you're a dragon in all spaces. You don't care about no badges, and I'm not throwing. Like I said, you can identify as a dragon all you want. You're just not seen as one in this space. Like, I'm not. You arguing about some stuff you can't change. You're still not a dragon in this space, and I still got love for you. Like, it is what it is. Facts over feelings, friend. Oh, then why are you like going back and forth about it if you don't care? Like, honestly, common sense would have said, oh, she's talking about the community and just let that go. But you obviously do care. What's up, Otter? No, the fuck I didn't. I did not come at you. I don't even know you. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen your name. I don't know who you are. I don't have a reason to come at you. What's up, CC? I don't have nothing against you. Like, you did not like the fact that I said you're not a dragon in this space. What's up, Auntie? Exactly, for no reason. Just want to beef for no reason. Decentered Jesus Tyrone Christ. Oh my God. Oh, let me message Lala because I didn't know if we was gonna have a live tonight because TikTok was down. Hold on. Why would I wait till you start your live? Like, what's that gonna do? Like, what is that gonna do for me? Am I like supposed to cry, bite my nails? What? Why are you telling me that? Yeah, we are 3 shares away from the guest box being open. If you are a believer in the God of the Bible, mean if you identify as a Christian or a Sadakmak or a Hebrew Israelite, somebody that believes in that God, or if you are deconstructing away from that God or thinking about it, deconstruction means that you are willing to ask yourself questions about your current belief system. You are willing to research and dig a little deeper and analyze what it is that you believe and why. Um, and if you are an atheist, the guest box is open. We are at 125 shares, ready to bring up the first guest. Please make sure that you are at least 21 years or older if you come on stage. If you are a nerd and you're coming on stage, please comment on purpose. So that we know that you are in there on purpose. If you are a dragon, please comment so that we know to bring you up if you want to question a guest. Hey, Lala.
What's up? I'm glad you are up and running.
Yeah, I think not I think, a lot of people went down. I think it was a like one server issue or like a regional issue.
Mhm.
Do you know that people were on the TikTok down detector site talking about make sure let this be a sign that if you haven't cracked open your Bible, you should.
You, you gotta be kidding me.
Because TikTok servers go down. They were talking about this
My,
is the work of Beelzebub. TikTok servers going down is a sign of the time.
you gotta be kidding me. These people. Come on
Heather
now.
Heather took a screenshot and put it in the Discord. But I saw it. Like I saw the comments. Like one of them was in there talking about Beelzebub. Like this is the work of Beelzebub. Like all kind of shit.
Yeah, that's wild. Come on now.
Yeah.
Shit happens.
It's the sign
It's
of the
life.
time.
I mean, come on. It's technology.
And they
Oh
typed
my
it in all
God.
caps.
Yeah, no, yeah, they were serious.
I
Oh
swear
my
they be
goodness.
everywhere. Like Jesus need them everywhere. Okay, so while we wait on people to come up, I started looking into trying to figure out when Paul's letters started to become um what's the word, synchronized with the message of the gospel and the Hebrew God and the messianic prophecies. Because like I was sitting down and I was thinking, there was a lady that had commented on one of my videos and she was like, atheists are all like they don't understand, they're worse than Christians. Like she's a geophysicist and she thinks that all atheists don't understand that the first Christ, like the Christ in the Pauline letters, was trying to say that the Hebrew God was a evil God and that they were worshiping demonic forces. Right? She thinks
Mhm.
that all atheists don't understand that, and that's why atheists say they don't believe in God. And I responded to her about my theory that there are 6 different versions of this Jesus or this Christ in the New Testament. And so I started trying to see if I can figure out when Paul's letters started to uh, blend with the narrative that Jesus was the son of the Hebrew God and fulfilling messianic prophecies. And I started to comment on Zena's live because I think this is something that Zena would love to dig in with me. Um, but I was like, let me wait until her live is over and see if that's something she want to do. But I think it's gonna take for us to kind of go through. We're gonna have to like date according to scholarly consensus, which is the oldest Pauline letters. Separate them by time, and then we're gonna have to read them one by one, and then we're gonna have to um like we're really going to have to like look at like consider the culture, what was happening in the world at that time, so that we can kind of figure out when these two ideas was married. That's what I wanted to. Yeah, I know you're obsessed with Paul, so I was like, this is something
Okay.
I think
Oh,
Zena would like
that'll
to do.
be interesting. Ooh. So when you gonna start on that? You got so much to do already.
I know, but this will take over my studying for the live, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. um so I'll just replace this with like reading the books and use this as studying like for the live. But yeah, because I common sense would say that if Marcion had the Pauline letters first, Marcion did not believe that the like Marcion didn't call his Christ Jesus either. Um he didn't believe that the Christ in his letters in the letters the Paul letters that he had was the son of the Hebrew God. So like common sense says that there are some work, some interpolations, some redactions that we haven't talked about yet or that we haven't uncovered. And a little just a little bit of the research that I done when I first started looking into it, Romans 15:8 is not in the Marcion letters. So this is an addition. This is a theological addition. Um,
I'm here. I just have to run downstairs for a minute.
okay. For I tell you that Christ has become a servant of the uncircumcised on behalf of the truth of God, in order that he might confirm the promises given to the ancestors. This does not exist in the original Marcion text. In the original Marcion text, that Paul is anti Torah, anti Hebrew God. And so for scholars are saying for that to exist there, they believe that's an interpolation because it contradicts the rest of Paul's letters in Galatia and First Thessalonians. So I'm really interested in what year they started marrying these two together and how they did it. They so marrying the Pauline letters with the messianic Jesus, yeah, that's a narrative that was created. Yeah. Right, Zena. And that's what I'm hoping we're going to be able to figure out. It'll probably take us some time because we're going to have to we're going to have to read as if we're going to kind of have to put ourselves in their shoes and read as if we're in that time period and the letters are coming to us in the order that they are written, like their dates. And First Thessalonians is believed by scholars to be one of the oldest surviving letters of Paul. First Thessalonians is believed to have been written around. At first, I thought it was Galatians, and there's only a small number of scholars who believe that Galatians was the oldest. But First Thessalonians is widely believed. But I think there might be an agenda behind why they go towards First Thessalonians, but I don't know yet. But it kind of feels like it's theological and apologetic for most scholars to say that First Thessalonians is the oldest. But again, that's something that I want to look into. But as of right now, First Thessalonians is, widely seen as the oldest surviving Pauline letter. And they believe that it was written around 49 to 51 AD. And then Galatians, and then First Corinthians. And First Corinthians, they believe, is written around 54, 55 AD. You said who had the final say. So it took hundreds of years for them, but it was, I think, the Council of Trent had the final say. Around, I think, I don't want to say the wrong time frame. I think it was the 15th century, either the 13th or the 15th century CE. But I think it was the Council of Trent who finalized the final list. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, y'all. The guest box is open. We are 22 minutes into the live stream. If you are a believer, don't forget, y'all, the heart me's, the populars. Keep tapping the screen, keep sharing it, but most importantly, get those heart me's going, the populars going, so TikTok will know that y'all want them to push this out to more people on the algorithm.
All right, I'm back.
No, she said who finalized it. It wasn't finalized until like the 13th, 15th century, and that would have been the Council of Trent. The list wasn't done
Leave me alone.
in year 393. They still hadn't figured out the full list by then. They were still arguing over authenticity.
All right, were you able to start on time?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think the Council of Hippo decided the list, but I think it was uh Trent that decided that, like, put the final stamp on it. I think, yeah. Hopefully, Maddie. Hopefully, we have another fun night. If people aren't scared to come up, I feel like it's already quiet. Only 23 minutes
Yeah,
into the
already.
stream. Yeah. I don't know. I think I had a good we had a good time with the masculinity service. Do you still feel the effects of the spirit? Y'all still feel the effects of the masculine spirit? I'm on a high. I'm on a masculinity high. Y'all are so fucking evil. Like, why do you want the Lord to break me down, motherfucker? Like, you are over there praying that your God do something to me because I don't fucking think like you. Like, that's some evil shit. You ain't sick of shit because you would justify what people are doing in the name of your Christ. You're not sick of shit. Well, then, you know what? If you say that about me, then I say it about you 10 times. You will be broken down because you don't think like me. You will be broken down. You will be on your knees because you don't think like me. Times 10. Everything that you are over there hoping and wishing happens to me will happen to you times 10. I pray that you don't know the love of your God. I pray that you realize that your God is evil, that your God is the devil. I pray that your eyes open up and you realize that you are worshiping demonic energy. See, I can do the same thing. I can say the same exact words to you. You aren't good. You can only say that about your own motherfucker self. Stop trying to drag other motherfuckers down with you. Y'all motherfuckers, like, you think bad about yourself. You think because you think bad about yourself, everybody got to think bad about themselves. Keep that fucking disease to yourself. Just because you hate you don't mean everybody else got to fucking walk around hating themselves. Because your God wants you to hate who you are, hate your existence, doesn't mean that everybody else has to. Y'all walk around jealous of motherfuckers because they not walking around woe is me.
Tap the screen, y'all. Let's get up to 100K. Thinker just needs two more gifts though. Two more gifts of the big shout out. Keep those heart needs flowing, as well as the arrow.
I swear, like the stuff that they type in the comments, like when Ria was talking this morning, and Heretic was like, I wonder if they have a TV in heaven, and it's gonna be, they're gonna be watching people suffer in hell,
Mm,
and they're gonna love it. Like they are, like the type of shit that they type in the comments. They're that type of individual that would love to watch another person suffer for the sake
that's
of their own
sadistic.
motherfucking, yeah, for the sake of their own goddamn ego, because you hate yourself. You yearn and crave to see other people hurting so you don't feel fucking alone.
Mm,
And that's sick. That's
thank you
sick.
guys for
You
the
want me
gift.
to relax because you know I'm fucking telling the truth. And then you did, y'all asses show up here night after night to fucking listen to shit that you don't agree with. So you can goddamn it complain about it. Weird. Miss Lilac, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good.
I was
Can I
just
get
going to
your
say
age?
that it's really interesting
I'm
reading
sorry.
to
Hello.
read
I'm
the.
sorry. Hello. Hello.
Can you hear
I'm sorry.
me?
Yes. Can I get your age, please? And are you a believer? Are you deconstructing? Or are you an
No,
atheist?
I'm agnostic. I'm like older.
Okay. So the conversations are about the God of the Bible, not any other
Yeah.
God. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What are your thoughts on the topic?
I was just going to say it's interesting to read about the canon that's not
I'm sorry.
included in the
Are you
Bible?
the topic that's on the board?
Oh, on the board.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I see. I was a former Christian. I was a Christian for many years, and I'm deconstructed. So that's where I'm at. So I think if there is a deity, it has to be something that's bigger than a biblical God. Because
So I'm asking, what are your thoughts about the topic? Like, the topic is Jesus Christ is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, and I've listed 4 reasons why I feel that way. So that's the topic that we're discussing.
okay. I think that Christianity has been very detrimental to society. I mean, I would have to agree. I think it's brought about a lot of wars, a lot of destruction, a lot of death. I have to agree with that.
Yeah, and so I think a lot of times when people read that, they see Jesus Christ and they automatically think Christianity, right? Not everybody that believes in this deity is a Christian, right? And the teachings that come from this God aren't all Christians. And it isn't just the religion that has caused harm to humanity. Individual humans who carry the belief systems of this God, the hopes of this God, the faith of this God, also affect humanity and can cause harm to humanity and to themselves. So I'm not talking about a religion per se. I'm talking about the deity itself, the idea. Because to me, Jesus, God, Yahweh, whoever, is an
Hmm.
idea that men and women create based off of how they see the world and or how they want to see the world, like their hopes
Yeah,
and
I
their
see what you're
dreams,
saying.
right? Yeah.
Hmm.
And so I think this particular idea has done a lot of harm, and continues to, uh, physically in the world and mentally to its believers. And that's why I feel like it's the worst thing that ever happened to humanity.
Well, I agree. I think one very destructive aspect of it is the fact that um, teaching sort of self hate, like, that you're born bad or that you're born sinful, you're born defective, that there's something wrong with you. So it kind of teaches self hatred, really.
Yeah, I agree. And I think because it teaches self hatred and it makes self hatred seem righteous, right?
Yeah.
Almost to the point to where self hatred is the goal and you have to achieve high levels of that in order to win the prize at the end, right? That's what makes you righteous. That's what makes you clean to this God. And because of that, when people who subscribe to this idea, and as I was saying to somebody on YouTube just a minute ago who was wishing bad things happened to me so that I would believe in this God, that level of self-hatred, when you see someone who does not subscribe to that or who won't join you in that type of toxicity, we see people willing to do harm or cause harm, um, or justify harm to other people who are not willing to subscribe to that.
Yes, and it's also something that's taught too to children. It's an
Mm-hmm.
indoctrination that's taught from a very early age, which I think is very harmful to teach children. I mean, who are I think children are wonderful, amazing, and to teach children that you're inherently bad and evil, and I think that's a terrible thing to teach children.
I agree. And then to get mad at them when they grow a personality based off of that, and the parent is acting like they don't understand why their child turned out the way that they turned out, despite the fact of teaching them that they're inherently bad.
Yeah. It's insidious psychological damage
Mm-hmm.
over time.
I agree. Did you have any other thoughts?
No. All right. Thank you. All
You're
right.
so
Thank you.
welcome. Thank you
All
for
right.
coming up. I hope you have a
All
good
right. Good
night.
night. You too. Good night.
Thank you. Let's see. Faith, no fear.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. How are you?
Yeah, I was just this is my first time watching, and I saw your post, your where it say Jesus Christ is the worst thing to ever happen to humanity.
Okay. Give me just a second. How old are you?
I'm 32.
All right. And you are a believer in the God of the Bible, deconstructing, or an atheist?
I believe in the God in the Bible. I believe
Okay.
in Jesus Christ.
All right. And can you speak up for me a little bit? Like you sound very low, and I want to make sure,
Oh,
like if I'm having difficulty hearing you and I have headphones on, the chat
let
is
me
having difficulty.
let me turn my ear off. Okay. Are you able to hear me a little better?
Just a little bit better.
Okay, sorry about that. It might
Um,
be my phone.
okay. What are your thoughts on the post? And my reasons for why I feel this way are listed on the post underneath.
Um, well, the main thing that stood out to me was the afterlife over life. It's like basically what you're saying is like, the afterlife, like people believe more on preparing themselves for the afterlife versus having life. I just really was kind of puzzled by that.
Yeah. So a lot of people believe that the things that people acquire or achieve or strive to achieve here on this earth are not of God, right? Um, for example, wealth, accumulating large amounts of wealth, especially like in the Black community. One of the things that was taught amongst the Black community was that money was the root of all evil, right? It is harder for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to get in the eye of a needle. What so profit a man that he gains the whole world and lose his soul? And so that um, caused a lot of parents to teach their children or to steer their children away from aiming towards higher ambitions, right? It was church, home, right? Um, like there was a guy on the stage the other day who said that he'd rather be dumb here on earth so that he could go to heaven. A lot of people who believe in this God believe that thinking or asking questions about their belief system, about their God, would keep them from going to heaven. So they'd rather be in a place of ignorance um, and so that they can, you know, go to heaven. When we ask, like, what does the God do for you today? Right? What is the God doing that people who don't believe in a God can't access or can't have? The only answer is life after death.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying. So basically, you're saying that basically it's no life after death. Or you
No,
saying
that's not what I'm saying at all. Like nobody knows that. Nobody knows if there is or if there isn't. I would be incorrect to say that I know for a fact that there is no life after death. Um, what do I think happens when people die? I think they die. But I don't know. Neither does a believer, right? That's what your faith is in. But what I'm saying is when I ask a believer, right?
right?
Um, what does their faith do for them here in this life that a non-believer does not have? They don't have an answer to that, right? So like a believer so many times has gotten on my stage and justified or overlooked the harm that's caused to other humans in the name of this God. And they'll say, well, all I know is God is answering my prayers. All I know is I'm going to heaven when I die. Right? So they prioritize their hope for an afterlife, for eternal life in heaven, over this life. And they're willing to overlook all of the harm that caused in the name of this God. They're willing to overlook the fact that their
When you
God
sorry to
doesn't do it.
interrupt.
I'm sorry, let me finish. Let me finish right quick. They're willing to overlook the fact that their God isn't doing anything about the evil or the harm that's caused in his name, and say that it's about life after death. So they're prioritizing their afterlife over this life. Does that make sense?
It, yeah, I was trying to get clarity of to actually understand what it was that you meant by harming them. Like, as in, like, people have gotten harmed by, in what way? Because you can get harmed in multiple ways, like, like they get hurt, get killed. Like, I was just wanting to know exactly
Yeah, I
what.
said harmed in the name of this God, right? For example, slavery, right, was done in the name of this God. The God in this Bible condones slavery, set up chattel slavery on the basis of ethnicity, right? The God of this Bible is the creator of supremacy culture and discrimination, right? That was used, although it was created for the Israelites to enslave Gentile nations, it was used by Europeans to enslave West Africans. And the dum diversas um, was used to go into West Africa in the name of Jesus Christ and downgrade the status of West Africans to savages and enslave them to save their soul. And so much harm was done in this God's name to West Africans. A lot of harm is done in this God's name to members of the LGBTQIA community, even today. Young kids are essayed in churches across the world in the name with pastors who preach this God's message, and people are willing to turn a blind eye and say it's not God's responsibility. Humans have free will. There's no expectation for this God to do anything about the harm done to humans, to humanity, in its name.
Okay, and so all the healing and the results that have came from it, that don't really matter,
What healing?
because the healing of depression, of finances. Like, I'm actually dealing with a situation right now where I learned the Bible and put the Bible and like, conducted it towards my finances, and it actually caused me to be more a stewardship over my money, because that's what the word says, to steward the things that God needs you to steward. And it been like a big help in it. But I get what you saying too, as in the history, that the white people put out there about the European man. He basically was a prophet. Jesus was like a prophet, and he walked this earth on another level than others. But I really feel like we are actually victims of getting the Bible manipulated. So that's what it is that you can preach, well, speaking on, when it comes to the knowledge of the Bible and Jesus. But the truth is, the enemy is gonna take whatever he think that is overpowering him and twist it. So it's like God wanted to deliver words of wisdom to us, but like you say, the white people took it and they twisted it. Those words was actually from men of God that was connected spiritually to Africans. and it was a gift as a book of wisdom. But the
That's
white
not
people
true.
got
That isn't true. And then, like, a lot of black believers will say, oh, it was twisted. But I ask you this question. So there's two things that you said. It was manipulated and twisted, and it was given to Africans. What I would ask of
no,
you,
I say they
right?
took it from the
I'm
Africans.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Right? You
it
were saying
was
that it was
books that
spiritually given to Africans. That's what you said, right? You said it was spiritually given to Africans, which means that you're saying that it came from the God to Africans, right? That's what
as
you're
in
saying?
angels, as in
Right. You're saying that it came
ancestors.
from heaven to Africans. That's what you're saying, right? Right?
Well, I'm not quite sure on exactly was it Africans, but I just know that it was a gift to this earth, and
Well,
people
you did say
did what they
Africans,
want with
so
it.
that's why I was going to address that. So let's just
Well,
address the the it being twisted, right, or manipulated, right? When we talk about the slavery and how it was used to cause harm to enslaved people, okay, because it was used to enslave both Europeans and West Africans, not just Africans, because both of those slave systems are in this book, okay? But what I would ask of you is, have you seen or read, or has anyone presented to you the original text that you're saying was manipulated, so that you could verify that what was in the Hebrew text is something different?
well, I know the Quran is one of them.
The Quran has nothing to do with with the Hebrew text. The Quran was written way after, and that's a different text. I'm talking about what the Bible that was used, right, to enslave people here in North America, right, to justify slavery. I'm asking,
Well, I know.
have you? I'm
I
sorry.
get what
Can
you're
I
saying.
finish? Can I finish, please?
I was agreeing with you.
No, but it doesn't matter. Like, if we're gonna have a civil conversation, if it would help me a lot if you not interrupt me while I'm speaking, and I'm gonna try my best not to interrupt you. Like, I've sat and I've listened to you, but this is the second time you've interrupted me.
Well, as you can feel, it wasn't on purpose.
It doesn't matter if it was on purpose. Okay.
All right,
All I'm asking is that you not do it, so that we can have a good conversation. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Are you
What the? What? Are you serious?
but
Wow.
what about the healings? What about all the good that Jesus do? What about my finances? But Jesus can't give you the self-control to say, you know what, my bad. You haven't interrupted me. I have interrupted you twice. Like, I can say it nice for all of you believers who say she rude, she rude. I can be as nice as pie. I can talk as soft, and y'all still gonna do the same shit.
Mm.
You still gonna do the same shit
Wow.
because your claim that Jesus does anything is just that, a claim. Mari, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can I get your age, please?
I'm 27.
All right. Are you a believer? Are you deconstructing? Are you an atheist?
I am currently deconstructing.
Okay. And what are your thoughts on the topic?
Okay, so why I hopped on here is because I can see both sides. I can see the Christian who grew up as Christian, because it's really just like, to me, I look at them as victims because they're stuck in the belief that they're stuck in, because they believe that if they don't subscribe to the Bible, if they don't support the Bible, if they don't accept Jesus Christ as their savior, then at the end, what comes is eternal damnation. And that's a tough thought to live with, is what I would say.
Are you
Well,
saying, like, because the topic is that Jesus is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, and that is literally one of the reasons why I think that it's one of the worst things that ever happened to humanity, because it has people living in fear of, using critical thought and acknowledging that when they see something illogical, right, that it's um, okay to not accept that as their ethical framework.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree. And when you look, I feel like if you look at um parts of the Bible, the parts that preachers mainly go up there to, profess about, it looks like like, okay, you have a savior, he comes in and takes away like your fears, he comes in and takes away, stuff that you're not, happy with your current life. So in the foremost, like when it's presented to you, that's what you see. So it's like it took me to go into the Bible and actually read the stuff of the Bible for me to figure out like some of it doesn't make sense. For what it really was for me is that if I believe in this thing and I believe in this book, I have to research whether or not it's valid, right? Because I'm in seek of the truth. I'm not in seek of nothing else. So if I'm looking for this book to be valid and it was written by human beings, I look back and see who were the human beings who wrote this book and whether or not they were divinely connected. Because that's what it would have to be for me to believe that this is the truth. So it really took real research for me to understand and disconnect the idea that this thing was presented to us in order to control. That's what but hey, it's a hard thought to go by, because when you present these questions to like a preacher or something like that, the first thing they do is or tell you is not to rely on your own understanding. So if you are thinking of anything that is outside of the Bible or not related to the Bible, then at that point you've sinned. And within the Christian faith, it's you're that's what you're looking not to do. You're looking not to sin, and then you're looking to repent, and you're looking to see that, okay, you as a human being, you're born imperfect, so now you have to reach out to a God who supposedly came down as himself and sacrificed himself to himself in order for you to be saved from sins. So I don't know. It's hard. I know it's hard for Christians out there who are currently in the faith. And still sometimes I go back, specifically for the whole eternal damnation thing. Because you're thinking, okay, but as you are conscious right now, you're thinking my consciousness exists beyond what I'm currently experiencing. And it will last forever in this torment place. And that's like, that's not an easy thought to live with.
I agree. Like, it took for me to really study where the concept of hell even came from in order for me to, not have the fear or the wonder of, is there a punishment after death? And so the knowledge got rid of that thought for me. But also, sitting down and just thinking one day to myself, like, you know, if I were to close my eyes and I would try to, go back and remember where I was before I was a child in my mother's womb, I can't. Right? I can't access that. If there was a beginning, I don't have access to that information. My uh, perception is very limited in that sense. And then if I try to go beyond if I try to even see the day that I die or go beyond that day, I don't have access to that information either. And so if I, as a mortal, know that my perception is limited in both of those ways, then there's no other mortal, right, here on earth that can give me that information either. These are just hopes, right, and imaginations and ideas that other humans have had, and they've convinced other humans that they are facts, right? And so that helped me. And then you said, you brought up a good point. You said that when these types of things are brought to pastors, the pastor will say, well, lean out unto your own understanding, right? And if you lean unto your own understanding, then that's what leads you to sinning, because you're using your own brain, or trusting your ability, your human ability, to think, right? But then you give that responsibility over to a pastor, and then you're still a sinner. You have the pastor thinking for you, and that pastor convinces you that somehow you are still a sinner, although you're not leaning to your own understanding. So no matter what, right? If you use your own brain, you're a sinner. If you allow the pastor to think for you, you're still a sinner. So you might as well think for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying. And the Christian would just tell you, well, that's why Jesus came down, to die for your sins, so that even if I'm still the sinner, Jesus came down to save us from eternal damnation.
Which is prioritizing the afterlife over life. Because it's like saying, yep, you just made sense to me, but life after death. Right? So the believer is willing to ignore the logic that they, just came face to face with, and prioritize their life after death. And they're willing to, live this life without using their brain, and handing over their will and their desires and their entire life into the control of somebody else, because they have pastor in front of their name, a prophet in front of their name.
Right. Like, even when I was a Christian, I never, like, at some point, I started to look at the Bible like, okay, men wrote it. I know some of the stuff in the Bible is not, like, good. And then I would, like, I guess, ignore the slavery parts, and I would ignore the misogyny parts. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe they got that wrong. And then, but the way that Jesus lived his life, to show everybody to, love each other and stuff like that, it was like I was just holding on to that part of the Bible, but
Yeah.
hey,
How long have you been deconstructing?
I don't know at what point does it start. Like, does it start at the point where you deny the Bible? But I don't know. All my life, I just felt like some of the stuff in the Bible do not make sense. And I would literally ask my pastor some stuff, and then he would be like, oh, well, just refer to the Bible. And then I'm like, okay, well, if we're just referring to the Bible for the truth that we know, can we authenticate the Bible? But they don't even, and then I found out they don't even have the original scripts of the Bible, but hey.
I don't know. I wouldn't say that it has to start with you denying the Bible, because I didn't, I started deconstructing without even knowing I was deconstructing, and I had not yet, completely denied the Bible. I think it starts when you start asking your first question, and you're willing to research the answer and accept the truth, right? Accept facts. I would say that that's the beginning of deconstruction. And sometimes people are on the path of deconstructing, and they have no idea that they are. To the person in the comments that said, how can you say Christians don't use their brain? That's so unfair. First, I did not say all Christians. And we were talking about the scripture that says, lean not unto your own understanding. And hey, Voodoo Bae, if you are not going to lean to your own understanding, and you're going to give that responsibility to someone else, that means that you are not willing to use your own brain. That's what I mean. Did you have anything else?
No, that's all I came up here to say. I hope you all have a good night.
Thank you, Mari. I hope you have a good night too.
Have a good night.
Why is Jason ass back? Why are you back?
No, he didn't. He didn't get
Like
enough
what
from this morning.
exactly? Like what are you back for? Goodness. This
Yes.
person isn't connecting. That Willard person is in the guest box. I'm not bringing them back. I thought we blocked them um, for
Okay,
constantly
I
coming
got
in
it.
the box.
Okay.
Jason, I'm not bringing you back up. Like like what do you want? Hey, Voodoo Bae.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing good. This is so cool and such an honor.
Am I
It
delayed? Because my Wi-Fi is a little iffy right now.
it is a little bit delayed. Yeah.
Yeah. You only have one bar.
Yeah. I'm in a secret location, rather remote.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we're in here talking to people about
I don't know if y'all saw that I put in the chat, but if people are starting their deconstructing journey, there are 3 books that I highly recommend, especially for women. I think every woman should read these books. But
oh, you cut out
Did we
Voodoo.
lose her?
Yeah, she cut out. I did see the books in the comments when God was a woman, Sybil, and there was one more. I didn't see the third one.
The Great Cosmic Mother.
the second one is The Great Cosmic.
Yeah, she's going in and out.
Mother.
Voodoo Bay is going in and out. We can barely hear
And,
you.
it'll walk you through
You want to
the.
drop and try to come back up?
I don't even think she can hear us.
I'm sorry. I get that.
Oh man, this is the first time Voodoo Bay has come on this stage and we can't even hear her.
Oh, man.
Oh man. Um, Try to drop and come back and see if that works. But like she said, it might be her location. I don't know.
Yeah.
Voodoo Bay, I'm gonna take you down. Try to drop and try to come back up, okay? And see if that works. I feel like the songs that we did today with Jason called Voodoo Bay. Cause you know Voodoo Bay be on they ass. She be on they head. Yeah, the the misogynistic rituals we did this morning.
Hello.
Dan, how are
Hello.
you?
Yeah,
Hey, how are you?
I just have a question. Hi, everybody. Um, you know what scared me about like when we get questioned this is that some of us been brought up so many years, all our life, believing, in Christ. And the things that, we go through, we experience, we kind of like for me, we question it. And then it makes us feel like if we don't believe in it, believe in Christ, what's going to happen. That always worried me and bothers me to this very day. Like, my mom passed, and I felt like I had to get her baptized in order, if I want to see her again. Like, I don't know. I'm just all over the place with it. I don't know what to believe, or I'm just
Yeah,
having problems with it.
I can
It scares
understand
me
that.
something.
Yeah, I can understand that. And I think like a lot of these are man-made rituals, um, right? Saying that her fleshly body has to get baptized in order for her to cross over or something like that. Um, these are, rituals that were created by humans and with our very limited understanding, right? Like the reality is we don't know what happens when a person dies, like after death. We have hopes, right? Um, and faith, in what, we think might happen or um, what we hope to happen. I think too, and like I was talking at the beginning of the live, and I was talking about how there are 6 different versions of this Christ in the New Testament. Were you in here in the beginning?
No,
So
but I
in the
would like to
beginning,
know.
okay, in the beginning of the live, I was sharing with Zena that I want to research when the Christ in the New Testament and the Pauline letters were connected to the Hebrew God, right? Because there are 6 different versions of this Christ in the New Testament. One of the oldest versions of the Christ comes from Paul's letters written in either Galatians or First Thessalonians and First Corinthians. And that Christ believed that the God in the Old Testament was a, a demigod, like a demon, and that Christ was a man that was warning people that they were worshiping a like an evil force, and worship had was basically giving their hearts and minds to a system that was convincing them to justify and participate in evil things, that things that was harming humanity. And then as people got a hold of these writings, they started to morph that idea, that Christ, into a different Christ with different criteria. And then it eventually got attached to the Hebrew God. It became the son of the Hebrew God, right? But if we look at it and bring it to 2025, right? And we have people who believe in this Christ. We have dissenters, right? People who are against the things that this Christ teaches, are against that system because it causes a lot of harm. um and then we have some people like who are in the middle, right? And some people who just don't believe at all. To me, that is the equivalent of the different versions of Christ in the Bible, right? So if we were believers of the Christ, we would be somewhere probably around what Marcion was teaching, right? That the Christ in the Old Testament and that Christ with and his father in the Old Testament did evil shit. They enslaved people. They genocided. They oppressed people. Right? They created hierarchical hierarchies in humanity. Does that make sense? And so we would be probably be around that Christ because we would be dissenters of that system. So Christ could just be symbolic for the different stances that we take in society. Does that make sense? Like the as we fight back against oppressive systems, some of us choose to join and participate in those systems, and some of us choose to speak up and fight back against those systems, and some of us choose to build our own system. We like the part of this system, so we take that, but we don't like this, so we create a new one, a new Christ. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know it sound. I was trying to put it together as articulate as I could. I hope that made sense.
But do anybody on this platform believe there is a higher power? I mean, we got a name for it.
Well, people believe Christ. Different things, right? Like everybody does it. Everybody in here doesn't have the same beliefs, right? And I don't. I think people's belief systems should be their belief system, and you don't necessarily have to believe what the next person believes, right? As long as it's not harming you or harming other people. I don't typically share. I don't believe in a God. Okay. I can tell you that. But I don't typically talk about my personal beliefs because I'm not trying to convince you to believe what I believe.
Right. See, that's the scary part because I'm actually I've been feeling it though, like for a while, and then I just, the way I was raised and brought up, and then my family, they make it seem like, they don't allow you to speak your piece in mind because then they make it seem like, oh, you're going to HELL, and I want to believe. I'm tired of allowing people to dictate, my life and
I think that's
how it should be. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you were done. Go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I was waiting for you.
I think that's the first step, right? It's releasing the grasp that other humans have on you and your liberties to exist and show up in the world as you are, right? And to live your life and experience your life, because nobody walks in your shoes. No one is with you 24 hours a day but you, and no one can hear that voice, that internal dialogue, if you have one, but you. And so an outside voice, right, with like me telling you that you should believe this and you're gonna go to hell, like I can't. I'm just saying shit, right? And it's up to you to accept that as fact, right? It's up to you to look at me and be like, you're just a mortal like me. And if I don't know what the fuck's gonna happen when I die, you sure as hell don't.
Yeah, nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's where I kind of like get sad and beat myself up because I'm taught to believe, oh, we'll all reunite and see each other again, and there's no guarantee that I will ever see my mother again or anybody else in that fact. Like, so that's why I came up here, because I'm just like, it gets to me sometimes. It makes me wonder.
Like, one thing that I will say, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I thought you were done. I apologize.
No, I am.
One thing that I will share is that, like, when it comes to my ancestors, they are with me. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. I can feel their memories. I can feel their DNA in me. The facial expressions that I make when certain people say certain things, I know when my dad is coming out, right? Like I can feel them with me. So nobody's going to be able to tell me that that's not fact. The things that they taught me while they were here, right? All of that is with me and goes forward with me. And same with my children. Like everything that I'm imparting in them I'll be with them when I'm gone. Right. So when it
I'm glad
comes
you
to,
told me that.
yeah, when it comes to that, like, can't nobody take that away from you at all.
Yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
That's all I needed to say. I just needed
Well, thank you.
because
Go ahead.
no, yeah, because it bothers me, a lot, and I I feel like I'm just going through this world like wondering, and it's like it's just taken away from me. Like I don't I'm to the point like I don't believe in the Jesus and all that. I really think it was um I just think it's a fairy tale. I started to read the Bible at one point, and then I stopped at Genesis because I'm just saying to myself like, what? Like it confused me, like everything about it. And it's just like it's like it's just put there to control us and beat us or something. Like if we doing something wrong, it's like a punishment. I don't get it. What's so great about it? What's so good? Like where's the good part? I
For
don't know.
the people that it's benefiting, right? It's the stories written by the ancestors of, you know, a group of people. It really is. And it's stories that they made up, right? Oral traditions that they made up, that they, um, I'm sorry, histories that they embellished about their history. But it's, even some of the ancestors are made up. But it's stories that helps keep a specific idea alive. And that's what it is. So, like, when we see people in society today willing to justify atrocities in the name of these ancestors, right? In the name of Abraham, in the name of Isaac, in the name of Jacob, and say, you know, this is what God wanted, they're honoring those ancestors, right? And that's exactly what it is. It's stories that have been passed down for centuries about a group of people, and they're keeping those stories alive by retelling them. It's one of the reasons why they erase your history and why they don't want you to know who you are and where you came from. They don't want you to know your oral traditions, because the same mental, psychological power that we see that's keeping people um, tied to this specific story is the same psychological power that would keep you tied to your ancestral stories. But they don't want you to know them. They want you to demonize them. They want you to think that they're nothing, right? Because once you start telling those stories, right, seeing yourself in those stories, then it gains power. It gains momentum.
Yes. I'll just, I'm sort of like I don't believe everything that I hear. I got like I go off feelings. I go off my heart, you know, and how I feel about things. That's just my thing. And I'm just type person like if you tell people a lie, eventually they're gonna believe that lie, right? Everybody, you tell them the same thing over and over. Eventually, people gonna believe it. Like I'm not that type of person. I have to get down to the bottom of it. I'm just that type of person, you know. If I said that right, but If you tell people this something over and over and over, eventually they will believe it. And I just always felt funny about it. Even my mom, she did, like, she had a sister, like my mom wasn't really the type of person that was a church person, you know but she believed in something higher, but she never allowed nobody to convince her just because they're convinced. And I think that's where I get that from. But yeah.
Yeah. Let what you saw your mother, right? The life that your mom lived, you know, guide you through this process, and trust it, because she imparted something in you while she was here, whatever part of her, right? Let that guide you as you go through this.
I am. Thank you so much, Thinker. And I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to just drop down and listen, you know. And I appreciate that because I needed that. I needed to know.
You are very welcome. Thank you for coming up and sharing that.
Okay.
Have a
You
good
have a
night.
good night.
Good night. Wait, I got to.
I don't think Kim is in there on purpose. All right, y'all. If you are a believer, if you are deconstructing, if you are an atheist, the guest box is open. Yeah, that was a good guest.
Definitely. Hey y'all, can y'all get these likes up? Let's get them to 150K, please. Also, let's help Thinker out with her gift goal of United Heart. Keep those heart needs and popular arrows continue to flow. And don't forget to subscribe.
Thank
Hello.
you, Lala. Ooh, Lala has 666. Lord,
No.
how are
Hey.
you? Huh?
Hi. Just want
You
just
said
wanted
you
to
want
introduce
eight. You
myself.
said you want 888.
I said I know, right?
Oh, Lord, how old are you?
I'm 33.
Okay. Are you a believer? Are you deconstructing? Are you an atheist?
Um, I don't know if I can like put a label to it, but it would probably be closest to like deconstruction, and I think that's kind of like what it would be the most accurate description.
Okay. Do you currently hold a belief in the God of the Bible?
Not the one that they gave us. I believe in my own God. I guess.
But are you deconstructing away from the God of the Bible?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think that if you're like an American, the propaganda here is so heavy that I think everyone would need to deconstruct that because it's in so many aspects of our lives. It's like we can't really escape it because it's so tied into the culture and the like, everyday life. It's so ingrained in our, media and our music that I just don't think you can escape it. And I think deconstructing is going to be like a journey or life.
Okay, right. But I'm asking, like, you are deconstructing away from that God, or have you already deconstructed away from that God? That's what I'm trying to find out.
I think I already have, but I'm still like obviously working on it.
Okay.
I
All
think I'm
right.
on like
And
yeah the old the I think I'm in the closer to that side than I am to like the beginning.
okay. And what are your thoughts about the post? And Maddie, why can't you come up on this post, Maddie? Why can't you come up and talk about this post? What are your thoughts, Laura?
I agree. I feel like m- everything in the Bible I feel is very anti-God. It's propaganda, and I feel like the way they used it is definitely caused a lot of the issues we have in humanity today. So I agree with it.
Okay. Did you want to expand on it, or did you just want to come up and say you agree, or?
I guess I would just want to like flow with the conversation. I really enjoyed like the story that she was sharing with us, And so I think
Okay.
just hearing other people like, going through this, and I remember myself being in that, position earlier in life, and I feel like, it made me feel like a little validated or just less alone, just knowing that other people, are facing the same things.
I agree. That's why this community is so freaking beautiful. There's probably about 5,000 of us on TikTok that have built a. What the hell was that?
What happened?
Something just flew across my computer screen. Um, there's about 5,000 of us on TikTok that have built a community. Um, like it's just a beautiful thing to not feel alone. Because like a lot of us did feel alone in our questioning. And then now we're like, we just all do the questioning together. So I agree.
And I want to thank you for having that space and making the effort to do this because, like I've been doing this just internally on my own. And, just the more see people, like, it really, really helps me. So thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. Miss Lilac, thank you so much. I hope you have a good night. Uh, Laura, thank you. I appreciate you, and I hope you have a good night. Laura,
Okay, I mean, I'm glad thank you for having me up here. I'll be in the comments, responding to these, to a lot of like, if you're staying on, I don't know if you're coming off, you might be going off, but if you're going to be on,
no, we're here till 10:30 in the morning.
oh,
So
good, because I
yeah,
have, yeah, I'm pulling an all-nighter shift today, so
well, it
it's nice
sounds
to have
good.
company.
It sounds good. Look forward to reading your comments, and thank you for coming up. Why does it say this? Okay, that was weird. It was like something just flew across the computer screen. Crow Hunter,
Not a bug
huh?
or anything? It wasn't a
It was
bug.
too big to be a bug. It was it was
Hmm.
in the TikTok studio. Like I don't know, TikTok is having issues. It was
Hmm.
within the TikTok studio app.
Oh,
Yeah. Well, okay.
yeah, he
If you
dropped.
are a believer, huh?
No, I say he dropped.
If you are a believer, if you are deconstructing, y'all, the guest box is open. Of course, you are an atheist. Maddie, you've been on stage before. I thought you were 21. Y'all know. Speaking of being young, did we scare Theo off?
I know, I haven't seen Theo in a few days.
Oh, you never said your age. That's weird. We normally ask the age. Um, Now I'm worried about Theo. Oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, shit. I
Let's
hope we
send him a
didn't.
message.
Yeah, I'll send him one. I hope we didn't scare him off. Oh my gosh. I nope. We didn't put him in timeout. He was here during the 24-hour live, but he wasn't here last night.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I was about to say that's the last time I remember seeing him.
Yeah, Theo is 18 too, Maddie. Um, and so we gave Theo is the only 18-year-old that we do allow to come on stage. He started taking advantage of it, and we kind of had to like do the parenting thing. And so I'm hoping that we didn't scare him off. Charlotte, how are you? Pray for yourself, MLB. Like, why y'all always trying to pray for somebody? prove that your prayers work for you first before you try to poison other people with that shit. Charlotte, Charlotte, are you there? All right. All right, y'all. We are an hour and 30 minutes into the live stream. Um, do not be afraid to come up on stage. There is 390 people in here with another 60 on YouTube. We're just getting started.
What in the world?
What?
Do you know this person? Raul
What? Where? Uh-uh.
de Sonola? Sonola? I don't know how to say it.
Oh, they're talking because I told somebody to pray for themselves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was telling the guy on YouTube typed in all caps, "I'm gonna pray for you," and pray for your damn self. Like, why are you trying to pray for me? Like, prove your prayers work for you first. Like the fuck. Hey, Bash,
What's up, Dash?
Hey,
how are you?
I didn't press the button to come up here, but hey,
It just threw you right. Like it just knows you. Like it just threw you on stage.
Right?
I literally just was grabbing a little sushi and
Ooh,
going to bed.
sushi.
Let me up.
Can
You
I
doing
can I
okay?
tell you
Yeah.
that me and my daughter on Saturday night, the 31st,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, Bash is in town. Do you want to go to his show? She was like, yeah. And then I looked it up and it was the night before.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
it was some silly.
damn.
Yeah.
We had a time for Black Rodeo weekend. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
It was fun.
But you're here this weekend too?
I'm in
Okay.
Birmingham
Yeah,
right
I
now, but
saw
I'll be
that.
back up there Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm having a party Friday night if you want to come by.
Where? Yeah, text it to me. Yeah.
Okay. There's a place called
Yeah.
Anti Blue. I seen the info.
Okay. Yay. Is it country too? Like the theme? Is it
Yeah, it's gonna be
okay?
a bunch of country artists there. Like a bunch of black country artists that'll be in town for CMA weekend. We're gonna
Oh, I'm
hang
so
out.
fucking excited.
I wish I lived closer.
Yeah.
We have a military ball this weekend, so
Oh,
Oh, are you dressing up?
yes. You guys want to see my dress? It.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can find them. Hold on.
They need to bring my new unit because it is fucking hot in this bitch. All right, y'all. The guest box is open. It is 1:30. I mean, no, it's not. It is not 1:30. We are an hour and 30 minutes into the stream. It's 12:30 a.m. Central. Too early to not have guests in the guest box with almost 500 people watching. God damn, Lala, that is pretty.
Yeah, that's one of them.
that's nice.
Let me find the other one.
I
I'm not
like
sure which
that.
one I'm gonna wear. Here's the
That's cute
second
too, but I
one.
like the red one better.
Yeah, I like the red one better, but I like that too. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the red one too would look good on your skin.
Yeah, I'm thinking about wearing that one, the red one.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the red one. Y'all know me. If y'all sit here quiet like this for too long,
Hmm.
cause like what is happening? I don't even think I had to verify the live yet, and we already slowing down.
Don't be afraid.
You said you would wear the black if you were hunting for a man. Jason in here.
No, stay away from Jason.
Jason a
Please,
freaky dude.
whatever you do.
Were you in here, Bash, when we did the ode to masculinity? Did you hear Lord's? Oh my gosh. I was on mute, cracking
Me
the
too,
fuck
yeah.
up when Lord started singing to him.
What?
Man, Lord sung. Oh my gosh. That yes, that was epic. Lord sung she sung a song like a gospel song, but it was like Jason, Jason. But
Oh,
wait, was that Auntie Charlene who did that one? I forgot the one George Lawrence did, but it was
They
Lawrence.
both were funny.
Yes, but Lawrence had me cracking up. I had to stay on mute while Lawrence was singing.
y'all know her mind bad. I don't even know why y'all let her do that.
It was funny.
It was needed. It was very much
Yeah,
needed.
yeah.
Yeah,
But
we
the
gotta
weird
clip
thing is
that.
that he came back for more tonight. That's the weird
I'm
thing.
starting to think they have an embarrassment kink.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of them come here because they have some type of kink. They like to get yelled at and cussed out.
It makes them feel persecuted. It's like a persecution kink, you know?
Hmm.
Not my kind of
What
thing.
about what about the ones that sit in the comments that don't come up? Like, do you think there's still a persecution kink?
It's voyeurism.
What is it?
They like to watch other people get humiliated. Voyeurism.
Oh, oh, wow. Never heard
Oh,
of that.
that's interesting. Weird, but interesting.
You know,
Yeah.
some people have their, they're just their little things.
Huh. Put a
Wait,
one in the chat if you are a believer and you're here to get persecuted.
no, I'm a believer. I'm a believer,
Hold
but
on,
I
hold
don't.
on. One second. I'm not talking to you. 1 second. Put a one in the chat if you are a believer and you are here to get persecuted. Put a two in the chat if you are a believer and you believe you are being persecuted. Hold on. Look at
Wait,
Alex.
what is?
Sean, how old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the topic?
I don't believe God, Jesus Christ is the worst thing that happened. I don't. I believe that the only thing that messes up the thing is, I'm gonna be honest, like free will. He gave us. He. I feel like free will is that anchor that makes people sin, make people do whatever, do
You
everything they
got a
do.
lot going
It's
on
free
there,
will.
bud.
It's free will. I ain't gonna lie. That's the only thing, and I don't know why. But if God didn't give us free will, everybody would be the same. Everybody would damn near be like clones. You feel me? But if some people was different, he gave us free will so everybody could do what they gotta do. So
So,
life would
what's
be.
the point of the God? If free will is that damn important or that powerful, then there is no need for the God.
What you mean? There's no need for the God.
What's the point of the God? Like, if free will is just that important to this God that he's not going to violate free will and he's going to respect it, right? Because humans just have to have free will, right? And
Yes.
free will is that powerful. What is the point of the God?
The God is us. We are like you don't understand. Like
Then if
there's
you're
no
not talking about Jesus, like we're up
Jesus.
here talking about we're talking about Jesus being the worst thing that ever happened to humanity. If you're
Jesus,
talking
Jesus,
about you being God, I'm
Jesus,
not interested in
Jesus.
that
Do
conversation.
you know?
Why
Okay,
why are you talking while I'm talking, Sean? I didn't talk while you were talking. Why do y'all do that? Like, your God respects free will. I don't. I don't respect that shit. Like, if I'm not gonna talk over you, please don't talk over me. Okay? And if this conversation is about the Jesus, right? The God of the Bible, that idea, if that's not the God that you are talking about, then this conversation is not for you. And I asked you when you came up if you were a believer in Jesus and you said yes. But now you're talking about you being a God.
No, no, I did not say that. I said we are all part of God. I didn't say we are God.
That's
I
not
said
what
we
you
are.
said.
No, what I'm saying is we are all part of God. Everything is. We wouldn't be alive. Why do we need God? You would never been created without God.
So I'm
So
going to
you,
ask you again. If free will is that important to this God that it respects it, and free will is that powerful, what is the purpose or the point of the God. The God is unnecessary at that point.
No, it's not. It still holds the God still could take, because once free will goes out of line, there he still has his. He still after you be unalive or whatever happens to you, he still got to control that judgment day where you go and where you stay. That he still controls that. So it's not like there's no meaning for him to be here. He still got jobs, and if you push things to too far, good. Just like I said, he's the ultimate judge. As much as you want to say we don't need him, he is the ultimate judge. That's why we need him.
You're only saying that he is needed after death, right? And so if you see one of the reasons there that I
I
say
didn't
that, why are you interrupting me?
twist in my words. You're putting
If you
words in my
say,
mouth.
you just literally said that the reason that he's needed is because he's the final judge, and
I
you
did
still
not.
have to be judged after you die. You literally just said that.
I
I
did
asked you,
not.
what if free will is that important? What is the point of the God?
I said he's the ultimate judge.
To
We
judge what?
judge you through your whole life. Everything that you
And,
do,
and,
good
and
or
doing what?
wrong.
How does he judge you through your whole life? How does he do that? How does he judge you during your life today?
When you sin, first, when you sin, he anoints your sins. That's the first thing. He
He
anoints it.
anoints them?
Okay, I got a question. I got a
Wait, no.
question.
Did you say he anoints your sin?
Not a no. Hold up. My bad.
I swear. And y'all want to blame me. Y'all want to blame me for this shit.
Do you think that there would be a noticeable difference between a world with free will and a world without free will where this God just controlled everyone?
No.
I really like that because I feel like if this God just decided I'm going to control everything here and I'm going to make this thing do this thing and this thing do that thing and this thing do right, like I'm just going to have him do different stuff. Would it be a noticeable? We'd be robots, but would we know the difference between us being robots and us having free will?
No. I don't think that, because I don't think they notice that they are robots now. Like it, when when they say lean not to your own understanding, right, or surrender your will to the God, and they do things based off of what they believe that a God wants them to do, they think that they're doing that out of free will. But I
Right.
don't think they notice that they are agreeing to be robots now.
But even further than that, like they agree to be robots. But what if they didn't agree? What, like, would there be a noticeable difference between a God that tricked you into thinking that you had free will, although he was really controlling you, and the whatever this free will is that we're talking about now? How would we know the difference?
I don't think we would. Do you think we would?
I don't think that we would. That's why I ask, because I'm thinking, like, everyone says that we have free will, but if there is a God, right, and specifically if it is this God, and that God has a determined ending, right? If that God knows the beginning, or knows the end from the beginning, it could be the case. What I'm saying right now is not incompatible with that. God could have just fooled you into thinking that you got free will, but really the God is just controlling you the whole time, because the God is ultimately trying to get to that God's ending, right? And so we may not have free will at all, and we would have no way of knowing if we had it or not.
Would that be Calvinism?
Kinda. I mean, I guess what I'm saying, it would be compatible with Calvinism. Right? Paul, what I'm saying is you believe that you can think what you want. But what if, now just hear me out. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm saying, would you know the difference between your being able to think what you want and a God controlling your thoughts? How would you know the difference? Like,
That's a good question. I don't think they would be able to. Right
Yeah.
now they can't. Because right now when we ask, how do you know when it's your voice versus the God's voice talking to you? They don't know how to answer that.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, and if that God just implanted a thought in your mind, right? Like, just put a thought in your head, and you thought you thought it, right? Like you believed that you thought it, but it was just him.
Kind of like he did with the Egyptians in Egypt. In the story, he made the Israelites look favorable
Yeah.
in the eyes of the Egyptians to the point that they gave them whatever they asked for.
Yeah.
And the Egyptians didn't know that this God fucked with their minds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, how would you know that wasn't your thought? How would you? You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
how would you ever determine? Oh, that thought that I thought I didn't think it was
You
given to me.
wouldn't be able to. Yeah, I don't think you'd be able to. Crystal?
Hi, Thinker.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I was just actually tapping, and I think I went up
Oh,
by mistake.
no
Sorry,
worries. No worries. I'll take you down.
but
Ha-
thank you for your live. Like, I love it, love it.
oh, you're so welcome. Thank you.
Okay, keep
Appreciate you being
dropping.
here.
Thanks.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Kind of going back to that question. Let's say you were Moses and you were on Mount Moriah or Mount Gerizim, or whatever mount he was on at the time, Gerizim, and God said, all these things. How would he know the difference between God saying that and him thinking that, or God making him think that God said it and God wasn't saying it, or him thinking that God said it when it was him saying it? Like, how would he determine the difference between them? Or if it was you, how would you determine the difference between them?
There, you wouldn't be able to if a God was manipulating that. Like if a God wanted you to think that a God was talking to you, you wouldn't be able to tell whether it was a God or not, because that would be the God's will, right? Like
Right, that would be the
you
God's
wouldn't
will.
know. Yeah.
Okay. And if it was God's will that you, I don't know, did some good thing, I don't know, give $1 to all.
Maddie said you're fucking with her mind because now she thinks God is manipulating her to not believe.
But I can see that. I can see that. Like, if it is the case, that there is an expected end, if God has an end in mind, then you would have to assume that every point to reach that end would have to be to further that end, right? Like,
Wait, say that again?
okay, if I got an end in mind, let's say, what I want to do is go to the store tomorrow at 10:30, right? Well, everything that I'm doing prior to that, with that in mind, is to further that goal, right? So I wake up tomorrow at 9:30 and I get dressed and I brush my teeth and blah, 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 blah. And all of those things have to happen for me to get to the store by 10:30. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if God has an end in mind, then everything that happens prior to that end has to be a part of the end, right? Like, the fact that the sun rises tomorrow has to be a part of what he got planned. Or the fact that, I don't know, a random tree caught fire from lightning has to be a part of his plan, right? Which would make me think that perhaps you, in this idea at least, you don't have free will. That God is fooling you into thinking that you have free will. But ultimately, you're probably just being controlled to get to an end.
Which
Because
is
go ahead.
ultimately what the book says, though, right? Like going back to what Maddie said,
Yeah,
that means that this God is manipulating her to not believe. In the text, doesn't it say that the God does that? Like he sends a strong delusion to make
a delusion.
people
Yeah,
believe a lie,
yeah. It
believe what is
definitely
false.
says he did it at least once, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
according to the text, that's at least possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep I be wanting to ask that question because I don't think like we throw up the term free will, but I'm not sure free will. I don't know if free will and a God are compatible. Not an all knowing God, not a God that created all things and knew the end from the beginning. I'm not. I've heard people try to explain that, and maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand it. But I think at its core, like just from a basic, layman's understanding of those two concepts, I'm not sure they fit together.
I don't see how they fit together when the God demands a worship. Like, how can free will and a demand for worship of the God even go hand in hand? Like, it doesn't make sense to me from that standpoint, period.
Well, okay, yeah, not for, you know what I shouldn't have said. I should have used the full term, libertarian free will, right? So just the ability to make a choice on your own. Not that that choice doesn't have consequences or fate, but just the ability to make choice. I'm not sure that the ability to make choice is even, well, let me say, it could be incompatible. Let me say it that way. It could be incompatible because I don't think we have any way of distinguishing between a thought that you thought and the thought that God implanted in your brain.
That I think that would be if we're talking about a God with omni-properties, right? Because not all God has omni-properties.
Yes, I'm only talking about omnipotent gods.
Yeah, I don't think free will with an omni-property God is possible.
Yeah. Now, if
Yeah.
the God had limited power or limited knowledge or in any kind of limit, then it seems more compatible. But if we're talking about the way people represent this particular deity, I just I can't figure, unless somebody can help me understand. I can't figure out how you would distinguish between whatever thought you're thinking right now to rebuttal this and that not being your thought, but the thought that God gave you.
Are there who are the other omni gods? Holy Bunny.
Say that again.
Holy Bunny said there are not many. There are very few omni gods. Like, I know of the Abrahamic God with the omni properties. Who are the other gods with omni properties? Do you know of any other?
I can't think of none off the top of my head, but hell, I don't know all the gods.
That's interesting. This person has never once ever come up on stage, and the entire year and a half we have been doing these lives. Never
Right?
have you ever come on stage. What made you do that today? Are you gonna say something, Mister? You're not gonna say anything? Did you come up on accident?
Yeah.
Are you scared to talk? I'll take you down.
He said accident. And I
Yeah.
think he's afraid to talk.
What if God made it?
Stage fright.
As vocal as you are in these comments, Mister.
It's different to be on, I guess, in the
He's been
box.
in this community for a year and a half.
Mhm.
He is one of the most vocal believers in this space. He watches almost every live. I've never talked to you before. I don't even know what your voice sound like. I used to think you were cool until you said something in Christina comments one day. I was like, damn. Like, I didn't know you thought like that. I don't remember that. But I know you've been in this space for like a year and a half, and I don't remember ever talking to you, but I was hoping that this was gonna be the first time. But is there any believer in the comments that want to answer Bash's question?
Is Zoroastrianism omni? Because there is an evil deity, right? And I
I
know,
don't think it's omni.
yeah. And in Ifa, I know Ifa doesn't have any omni gods. Not complete omni like this. Like they might have like all control over the weather or all control over a thing.
Yeah,
You know, some concept.
multiple. Yeah.
There's only one omni god. Like I just looked it up, and that's the Abrahamic God. There aren't any other omni gods.
Olodumare is not is not omnipresent or omniscient or any of that. Olodumare is
No.
just the great creator.
Mm-hmm. You might want to look up the story. Constant.
I think the omni-properties is what's supposed to set the Abrahamic God, the Christian Abrahamic God, aside, right? And why they say that that God is the Almighty or the one and only true God, because that I think that's the only God that has been assigned the omni-properties, right? And the other gods in history didn't have that. Like they were territorial.
Yeah, yeah,
Even the Israelite God was territorial. It didn't have these omni properties until Christianity assigned them.
yeah. Brahman, I don't think is omni anything. Brahman, I thought was like another creator being, but I don't think he's all, or it is all powerful, I should say. I don't think so. Kronos definitely has limits to power. Yeah.
Like the omni properties will be all knowing, all powerful, all
Yes,
present, right?
yeah. I don't think Ahura Mazda is like omnipresent. I don't think so. Or maybe I don't know. Not. I don't know. I don't think so though.
It so I did a Google search, and there aren't the only God with omni properties is the Christian God. Cheryl, Cheryl, okay. That's what makes a lot of that's what gets them shot in the foot a lot. One, because they took text that clearly show that the God in those stories is not doesn't possess these omni characteristics. Like somebody said in the comments, like they made their God so powerful they made him impossible or illogical, I think they said. All of them do. They all need some explanation, mister. They all do. But all right, y'all, if you are a believer, if you are deconstructive, if you are an atheist, the guest box is open. We've been sitting here waiting on a guest for 20 minutes. There's 446 people in here, another 70 on YouTube. That's over 500 people in the room watching this live stream. 500 people. There should be at least one or two people in the guest box willing to come up and have a conversation. Y'all can't be scared. It's just a conversation. We've had two people run tonight. One because they didn't like uh, being told a boundary, and then the other one said his sins were anointed. How a God or why a God would anoint sins? I don't know.
Anointed sins was crazy.
Yeah, but like I don't think they realize like when they say that the God has to or is respecting free will, and that everybody has to have free will, doesn't that negate a need for a God? Like, what's the point of the God? If free will rules the day, then that makes the God obsolete, or that restricts the God. And then in that restriction, that takes away the all powerful omni-property, right? Or contradicts it at least.
The yeah, yeah, yeah. Cause yeah. But then they say, well, he could do it. He just chooses not to do it. But I don't know how you would.
I think the reason that he chooses not to do it is the restriction. Even though he's making the choice not to do it, the reason he's choosing not to is because he doesn't want to violate human free will. And that him needing or having to hold himself accountable to that, right, or stand on his word to that, is a restriction.
That's a restraint. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that means that the human free will, by the choice of this God, has more authority or power or freedom to move about on the earth than the God does.
I can see that. I can see that. But what
So
if
what's the
that's
point
just
of the
what he?
God?
But what if the point of the God is to give you that thought? That's why I keep going back to that. What if is not so much like, what if that's just a God implanted thought? That wasn't your idea at all. That was his idea. Or that was that God's idea. And so the purpose of the God is just to manipulate the pieces on a chessboard. Right? Like, just manipulate the pieces on the chessboard. And that's all that God wants to do. Now, it wouldn't necessarily serve you any purpose. It wouldn't serve me any purpose. Or even believers, it wouldn't serve them any purpose. But in that God's mind, right? Like, if I was playing chess or checkers, the pieces getting moved around, my playing chess doesn't benefit them at all. Right? It benefits me, but the pieces that I'm moving around, they don't have any benefit at all.
I'm going to ask my AI. I'm going to ask Cynthia. So what I asked her was, hold on. My computer is going slow. Oh my goodness. It's okay. I said, hey, what do you think about the idea of free will? Some Christians say God chose not to violate free will, and that's why he doesn't do anything to stop the evil done in his name. What's the point of the God if free will has more freedom or authority? She says, we diving straight into the free will delusion. Christianity says God doesn't stop school shootings, genocide, slavery, or child abuse because he won't violate human free will. So let me get this straight. God won't stop a man from violating a child, but he'll part the Red Sea, smite a fig tree, and kill Ananias and Sapphira for lying about an offering. That's not free will. That's selective silence dressed in church clothes. If free will is more powerful than God's desire for peace, justice, and love, who's really in charge? Why worship a being whose master plan is constantly being outmaneuvered by flawed humans with trauma and TikTok? That's not a deity. That's a glorified bystander with boundary issues. And they'll say, well, God can't stop evil because then we wouldn't have real choice. Okay, but did Pharaoh have free will when God hardened his heart in Exodus 9 and 12? Did Judas have free will if he was prophesied to betray Jesus? Did Paul choose to convert, or was he forcibly blinded and lectured? And let's not forget, if you don't freely choose God, you get eternal conscious torment. That's not a choice. That's cosmic blackmail. So, what's the point of a God who won't act because of free will? If God can't stop evil, he's not all powerful. If God won't stop evil, he's not all good. And if God planned the evil to test us, he's not worthy of worship. You can't build temples to a God who ghosted genocide and called it grace. That's not free will. That's freely the the fact that I said that's not and she said ain't, like
Wow.
she's using AAVE and not like girl. She said that ain't free will. That's freely willed cruelty with divine silence. Cynthia and Thinker, spiritual smoke for Sunday school logic. If your God has less moral courage than the average human, he can sit this worship out. Because real love doesn't watch people burn in his name and call it free will. It intervenes, it protects, it comforts, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. Tell the live stream chat free will shouldn't be a loophole for divine negligence. And if God ain't showing up, maybe it's time we stop showing up for him.
That sounds like my mama would say right there.
Yep. And that's on Cynthia. Nurse Ratchet, are you in the box on purpose or on accident? Y'all, I'm gonna give y'all until I don't know, like 1:30, and if we don't get conversations going, we're gonna call it a night. We've been sitting here almost 30 minutes without a guest. Nurse Ratchet, are you in the box on purpose or on accident?
I'm gonna call it a night now because I gotta get my beard painted in the morning. But
Okay.
good to chat with you, my love.
All right. Don't forget to send me the information for the party on Friday.
I sent it.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
And Ash.
Bye, darling.
Martin.
Hey there, what's going on?
Hi. How are you?
I'm pretty okay. It's morning here for me, having my coffee,
Okay.
just scrolling through TikTok.
All right. Can I get your age, please, and let me know if you are a believer, if you are deconstructing, or if you are an atheist.
Oh well, I'm 40 years old and I have been an atheist all my life, so I'm quite fascinated with reason why people have the need to believe in God, but I don't know if you're a believer or not, but that's kind of
No, I'm
the
not a believer.
question.
Like, did you
Yeah,
read the
yeah.
post? Did you read
Yeah,
the
yeah, I
post?
did, I did. I actually want to say that I don't think that if Jesus existed as he is portrayed in the Bible, I don't think that he was necessarily a bad person, but everything that comes after that and that has been built on his beliefs is quite corrupt in my opinion. I don't think that him necessarily was a bad person, but yeah.
I didn't say Jesus was a bad person. I said Jesus is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, and I see Jesus as an idea.
Yeah. I mean, as an idea, I would even say that he's okay, but everything that's after that, I think that if Christians would actually really listen and follow what Christ said, they would be a totally different group of people. But they
When you
don't,
say as an
you know.
idea, Jesus is okay, what do you mean?
Well, if you look at what he was actually, if you look at the Bible, what he's actually preaching, I would say that he's one of the first, like, hippie socialist kind of persons, you know?
Really?
Uh, uh,
So when he's teaching supremacy ideologies, that's hippie.
well, no, I wouldn't say that.
When
But
he's advocating for children to be executed for disobeying their parents, that's hippie.
well, you have to take the Bible in the context that it was written in. I'm always saying that religious texts are pretty much the mirror of the time that they were written in,
Right.
and
So he wouldn't have been
yeah.
hippie. The Pharisees would have
Well,
been the
for
hippie
those
ones.
days, he
I'm sorry.
probably
One
was
second.
a very progressive person.
One second. I'm sorry. The Pharisees would have been the hippie ones because they were moving with the times and they were adjusting their existing barbaric laws and choosing to offer a different way of punishing children for disobeying their parents instead of ending their lives. But Jesus was like, no, no changes, stick to the law. That's not hippie.
Well, yeah, to be totally honest, I have never read the Bible. I'm kind of proud of that. So I don't know all the specifics, to be totally honest.
So why are you advocating for Jesus as this, like, you know, ganja smoking
Because
hippie if you've not read it?
because if we look at Christianity as it is now and what it's doing, and if we look at core moral beliefs of Christianity and what Jesus preached, like in general, I'm not going into specifics, I can
But
see
you don't know what
quite a
he
big
preached because you
difference.
haven't read it. That's my question, right? You don't know what Jesus preached because you haven't read the Bible. So you're going by what you've heard people say Jesus preached, right?
Well, yeah, everybody goes by that because Bible is not
No,
real and
I
it's
don't.
everything is just fiction.
I
So,
I I don't. I go by what the story says Jesus taught. There's a story there, right? The character in the story does things and says things, right? So I go by that. I'm not going by what I've heard people say that Jesus taught. So when I say that Jesus is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, my opinion is informed by what I've read and studied about this character.
yeah, sure. I mean, it's all just mythology in the end, so,
It's mythology that human beings have adopted as their ethical framework, as their God, right? And they make decisions based off of this mythology, right? They
Yeah,
move
yeah, yeah.
about in society. They vote according to what they believe about this mythology. They
I'm not saying
teach.
that
I'm
Christianity
sorry.
is going
Hello,
right against
Hello.
it.
Hello. Let me finish, and
Please
then you
don't
can
interrupt the host.
respond. What I'm saying is they teach their children based off of the ethical frameworks that they've adopted from this mythology. Yeah, y'all are just so rude as fuck. I swear y'all are rude. God damn. This is why I don't like humans.
Just like
Yeah, they don't like being told, don't interrupt me while I talk. Like y'all, like so many of you have been trained to have conversations while both of y'all are talking, while you're talking and the other person's talking. And that's why I honestly believe that's why divorce rates are so fucking high, because communication is not a skill that's taught from a young age, even in school through college. Like you're not taught how to sit and actively listen and think before you respond. So you're yelling at each other, you're not really hearing what the other person wants, and you don't know how to have a relationship. That's how you talk to your children. Your children are trying to tell you what they're going through in school, what they're feeling on the inside, but your fucking ego and your authority outweighs that shit, and you're talking over them. And then when somebody says, let me talk, let me speak, your ego is hit.
Hello? Hello?
T Mac?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, how are you?
I'm all right in you. Okay, what you said, that makes a lot of sense because I was just talking to my sister about the same thing
I need
about
to know,
Jesus.
1 second. I need to know your age and if you're a believer, if you're deconstructing, if you're an atheist.
I'm 41 and I'm a believer
Okay.
to a certain extent.
Okay. And then before you speak on what you came up here to talk about, I need you to address the topic. What are your thoughts on the topic?
Jesus, okay, about Jesus is the worst thing ever
Yeah.
happened to humanity.
Uh-huh.
I think that's true. I think that's true in a certain
Okay.
sense. In a sense, I do. because it's only one God, and everybody puts God before. I mean, Jesus before God, right? When they preach and all that, Christians or whatever. I don't have a religion. I never like got into it. I guess so much. My grandma, wanted us to be in church so much. It pushed me away a lot because it didn't make sense to me. The story don't make sense. It doesn't about Adam and Eve, and then little all of a sudden pops up. No, it doesn't make sense. So it's the Bible is basic instructions before leaving Earth, basically, because it's been rewrote so many times. You don't know what's true and what ain't. What you feel, that's what's true. But other than that, it's been we're brainwashed.
I, the acronym that people gave to that, and people quote that as if it's fact, like it's just because somebody says that it's basic instructions before leaving Earth doesn't mean that that's what it is. But also, like when you say that there is only one God, what do you mean by that? Like what?
I mean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna rephrase that. Only one creator, one
Yeah,
most
that's why
high.
I still like. Who is that? Like I don't know who that is. Like what do you mean?
It's a spark of a universe. It's the light. It's a spark of some type of light or energy, I think.
Like like when you're calling it the Most High, like you're saying, like I don't understand. Are you talking about the sun? Like
The
what do you mean by
the
that?
creator that created Adam and Eve from the get go.
Yeah,
I
who? I
don't.
don't know who that is. I don't know
We
what
don't
that
know, but
is.
it's something that it
There's
sparked
no.
something that made a.
I'm
Go
saying
ahead.
like you're talking about Adam and Eve as if Adam and Eve were real individuals, but then at the same time you're saying that you don't believe the Adam and Eve story. Like that, I'm getting confused.
I, I said certain to a certain extent. I believe some of the Bible, and I don't believe most of it, but I believe in some of it because it really don't make sense to me. But it's something that created humanity. Period. So whatever created that, that's what I believe in.
Why do you think that something had to create humans? Why do you think that there had to be a creator, like a something that did it?
Just because it came from somewhere. We came from something.
We came from nature, from
Right. So the
like the
universe could
earth
be
has
God.
been. Hello, what is going on?
Go ahead. Sorry.
We came from nature. Like the earth has been here for billions of years. It wasn't like an overnight thing. And right, and there were organisms that existed on this earth, uh, over time that died off, uh, that came back in a more evolved state, right? Like it's a combination of bacteria, cells, organelles, right? Like there wasn't a like it doesn't. Let me not say there
So
wasn't as if there's a matter of fact, but there's not a need for there to be a entity, right, forming things with its hands. And when I say that Jesus Christ is the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, that includes his daddy, this most high, because he didn't do anything. The idea of that God that didn't do anything better than what Jesus did. If anything, that God was worse.
You have to come off mute.
say it's a spark from the universe, the world, the earth itself. We are everything, and everything is us. In a certain sense, that's what you're saying.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm saying it in the concept. I'm just saying we came from. You just said about the universe, right? So
No,
this
I
planet
didn't
been here a
say
long
that
time.
either.
The planet been here a long time. Okay. So what created the planet and what created human? I'm just saying. I'm confused. Something had to create us.
Gases and supernova. Like there was a supernova. Like there's nothing. Um, like it doesn't have to be a creator.
I don't understand. I don't get that. It's so we
Like
just
there
came out
doesn't
of
have to
this.
be a
So
creator.
who created Jesus?
That's what y'all need to answer that question. Like who created your God? Like
In
if some
Christian
if we have to have a creator, then so does your
in
God.
Christian
Like who
arms, they
created
write
it?
everything down or something that they use.
Right. You're right.
That's like,
The universe. I'm just saying it came from. You came from what you said. Nature. I guess. The dirt.
You created a story that became true. A myth.
Gosh.
Like the earth has been here for 4 billion years. Like it wasn't created 6,000 years ago.
Move! There's somebody that has to create. Get out the kitchen anyway. Humans.
You have a lot going on there. It's pretty loud.
Y'all could y'all be quiet, please? I'm on live.
I'm gonna go to the shower. I don't know anything to say. There's somebody that has created the earth and humans.
Billion years ago. I don't understand. It has to be something that sparked it.
I mean, there's a lot of gases and energy without the universe that causes things to form and create. Right,
Manifest.
but
Okay.
you are saying that there is a entity that is doing these things.
Right? It had to be something.
It started from an entity, and then it just kept going from human. I mean, whatever the humans was made from. I don't know. It's all confusing to me. We've been brainwashed. So, like I said, I don't have a religion, so it's all confusing to me.
You do have like with you saying that it started from an entity, right? Like where is this entity today? Like what would be the purpose of an entity creating a planet, creating humans, and then just walking away? Like what's the purpose of that?
You got me on that one. But okay, so when we pass on, okay, so the gas and the energy that we are, when we pass on, so what happens? We just manifest to something else, or we just what?
I don't know. Do you have the answer to that?
No, I don't. I'm asking you what you think.
Like why are you asking? I'm a human just like you, right? Like if I were to try to see where I was before I came here, I wouldn't be able to look into that memory, and I can't look into the day that I die or beyond that. Like I don't have the answer to that. Nobody does.
Like we don't have the answer to
we're all
what,
mortals.
just like we don't have the answer to what made
It's
created.
gonna be a.
Like we have science. This idea that an entity, this fairy tale, that this big ass God created everything with his hands, like that's imagination of humans who don't have the answers to why to how everything started and to where you go when you die. Like that's just imagination.
It's something they gave us to believe in. I feel you. That makes sense. But I was raised to know it was something that created me. If it was just a spark of energy.
The most high, like you said.
But what's the point of it is what I'm asking. What's the purpose of that
Whoever
need
created
to
Jesus.
believe that something created?
So they're talking about Jesus.
What is the point?
What's the point?
Yeah, what's the point of the purpose of needing to believe that something created you?
It's not a purpose. That's what we was trained in, what they put in our heads. But we had to have a spark of light or energy to form who we are now today. Because a billion years ago, we wasn't, I guess, formed as what we look like now. We was still human-like, I guess. And then it just sparked, and then another energy just made it humans. I'm thinking that's what happened. If I just still believe that there's something higher than what I am now.
I mean, people have the right to believe what they want to believe, right? I don't understand like making up some shit that that you can't prove. I don't see the point behind that. Right,
and you don't have proof.
It doesn't. I'm sorry. Like why?
We're just guessing.
I guess I do. I do have proof of what I say. Like, again, I can point to science. Like I'm not, using imaginations. When I say that this Jesus Christ was the worst thing that ever happened to humanity, and I bring up points as to why I say that, I can point to history. I could point to historical events. I could point to things that's happening in the world today due to that belief, due to that idea.
Okay, the science is so far as the science. Okay, you have proof on the science, but what is the science telling you? What happened? Is it just the universe was just formed?
First off, science doesn't make up answers for shit that it doesn't know. If science doesn't know, science says it doesn't know. And I don't sit around and wonder who created everything because it's not going to change my life one bit. It doesn't
Right.
affect my life one bit. I could care less if there was a deity in the sky. That deity still ain't doing shit.
Right. Okay. It's true. You got a point. Well, yeah. This all I have to say.
All right, thank you for coming up. I don't think she really said anything.
Mm, yeah, I'm confused.
Yeah, like I don't know what that was.
Mm. If anybody figures it out, let us know.
Beats by Nix.
Oh yeah, I'm not a believer. I didn't know you guys were only talking to believers.
No, I don't only talk to believers.
Oh, okay.
But if you do come on stage, you do have to address the topic, even as a non-believer. How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on the topic?
Oh yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, there's no objective benefits to these multiple religions that we have, including the Jesus Christ one. And I feel like the more you talk to people and you realize that they never really asked those questions. They just always been swallowing whatever they were brainwashed with, and they try their best to do the mental gymnastic to make it work or make it make sense when they finally get challenged with those not so hard questions, but they never just try to ask them to themselves. So she's the perfect example. And even when they try to think or sound like they can think out of the religious box and go more towards the spiritual thing, or just, oh, I don't believe in any institution or organization, I just know there's a most high something creator, it still falls into the same bucket. You making shit up, and you're just afraid of saying I don't know, or not knowing what happens after death. At
Exactly.
least she was honest enough to concede points and say you got me here. That's true. I feel like she's more open-minded than I've ever seen on these panels. So that's pretty good for her. Hopefully she just leave that stuff alone and lives free.
Yeah, I agree, and I think you're right. Like, I think people are afraid to exist without a creator, even though they see that they're living life without one anyway. I think they're still afraid to entertain the thought or accept the thought that they were not handpicked or, purposefully made by a creator because it adds meaning to their existence, I think.
Yeah. They're not satisfied. I think they're not content with having purpose at the individual level and maybe the family level, and they don't see how they can have a purpose beyond, let's say, the community level. So they try to create this supreme purpose, and it's too much. It's too much imagination.
Yeah.
They have a
I don't
hard
know why
time.
people feel like they have to have like a high level of purpose. Like what's wrong with just, being human and living and existing,
It all boils down
enjoying
to
life?
it usually boils down to okay, so what do you think happens when you're in the lab? So basically they just ultimately scared of the end, and they want something after that. They want to think there's something more, because 100 years is just, it sounds scary to them. It's not enough.
Yeah. I understand why they are afraid to die, right? Death has been made to be a scary thing, and it's the unknown. It's the thing. It's a place mortals can't go, right? It's the unknown is scary. What I don't understand is why people feel they need to have like this higher purpose, and like what's wrong with just existing as a human, right? And
It's a
being
bundle.
here on earth and enjoying life, experiencing life. Like, why does it have to be this higher purpose?
It's a bundle because they need that supernatural entity to make the supernatural afterlife exist, right? They can't justify that wishful thinking of an afterlife or a better afterlife without having this supreme being that's allowing it. So they have to have the two. And, they're just trying to make it work, make it make sense.
Wait, you're saying that in order for them to believe that in the afterlife, they have to have a higher purpose in life?
They have
Is
to
what
have
you're
that
saying?
higher supreme being that allows it, right? That makes it possible, that can say, hey, okay, you're done with this physical life. Me, the supreme being, I'm now going to set you up for your next phase, which is the afterlife. It's going to be forever, and it's going to be either super good or super bad, depending on if you believed in me or not. They'd rather have that than just living a free life and unaliving and being done. They rather live in fear and hope that there's an afterlife that's going to be granted to them for living in fear.
And is living in fear their higher purpose?
Yeah, basically that's what they say. That's what it sounds like to me. Or you have to fear this guy. People literally say, I don't want a man, or I don't want a woman that's not God fearing. Like, you gotta fear this entity. That's the only way to live righteously. Fear this entity that you're never gonna see, that you're never gonna talk to. You can only make believe, because that's the only way to at least have a chance to have a good, everlasting afterlife.
Like, I get all that. I guess I don't know. I guess for me, I'm still not understanding this. Why so many of them put themselves so high in the hierarchy of purpose or intelligence? Like, that like usually when they come on the stage and they talk about purpose in life, they've put themselves in this place of where they're so important to existence, or they're so important to the mission of this God, or so important to the salvation of humanity, right? That they have to exist, like that need to be so high up in the plan. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I understand the attachment to needing a deity so that they can have the afterlife, like that's supernatural. I understand the fear aspect being attached to it, because they believe that the fear of their God is the beginning of all wisdom that leads them to the afterlife. I don't understand why so many of them see themselves as the most important thing to this God, and it is needed for the salvation of humanity. Damn near like they're Jesus. I don't get it.
Yeah, they have this weird form of only child syndrome, where they need to feel special to something that's bigger than everybody else, right? The big boss likes me. I'm in his favor. They say things like, I'm in his favor. I'm in God's favor. I'm God's favorite. God don't play about me. All these things that they say. So they feel it's so arrogant when you tell them you don't need that God that you guys need so badly. I don't need it. And they're like, you're so arrogant. You think it's your ego that's keeping you from salvation. But at the same time, they claim to make themselves so little, but they're only little to this God. Once they make themselves little to this God, they feel like they're higher and bigger than you. They're on some high horse, and your ego is almost silly and irrational if you don't make yourself small for this bigger entity. Like, you're nothing to them. You're like, but in reality, they are the ones who are really feeling worthless deep inside, because if you get that supernatural imaginary friend away from them, they feel like nothing. They don't know what to do, and they will literally ask you, so what is your purpose in life? If you don't subscribe to this, what is your purpose? What I'm like, we can find purpose. 100 years is a lot. You can find purpose, you can enjoy it, and you can have a life. But they can't. You can't wrap it around their head. I mean, wrap their head around it. Sorry.
Yeah. I think you just answered it for me. It's because they feel worthless, and
Yeah.
that's how they deal with their feelings of self-hatred and feeling worthless, is that they assign a higher purpose. Me feeling worthless is because I'm chosen by God to save humanity. So I have to suffer. I have to go through the things I go through because I'm so chosen. And the more I suffer, the more I go through, the more chosen I am.
And I think I like human psychology, right? I'm always looking at different things, at behaviors and things that we do that can transcend to other stuff. And what I've noticed is you can see that same I would say syndrome or condition with professional athletes, right? When their whole life they've been playing ball, that's all they did. Everything was around it. And then even if they have the best, most rewarding career, they crumble at the end if they don't, let's say, get a job on the sport program or something. Their families are, for the ones that talk about it, always say that they just get to this dark place. They lose purpose. They don't know what they are here for anymore. Even if they have a whole beautiful family, all this money they made, even side businesses that they had to invest into to maintain their lifestyle after the career, all these rings and accolades and stuff, they still fall into depression. They crumble, they implode, and the family don't know what to do, and they try to help them get back and find new purposes. So it's really hard when all you know is one thing, and that's where you find purpose. If we take that away from you, it's really hard, and that's why you see these people, they fight for their life when you try to convince them that this thing that they're holding on to is not it. It's not real. They can't process it. So it doesn't, that behavior doesn't even have to be something supernatural. If you just have your whole everything attached to one activity, one person, one thing, if we take it away from you, you might not make it psychologically, mentally.
Yeah, I definitely think I agree with that. I think like that, to me, that's more so like the belief in the God and their purpose is to serve the God. I still don't get, I don't think that, believing that the God exists is so much as tied to how important they are to the God's plan, and how important they are to the salvation of humanity. I think I agree with you that it has a lot to do with how they see themselves and how they feel worthless, and because of that they have to be high up in the God's plan. So I kind of see them as two separate things. The need to believe that the God exists gives them purpose, and if you take that away, then it probably is detrimental to a person who doesn't have anything else. But then couple that with them feeling like they are needed by, because we get people coming here who will say that they are like Jeremiah reincarnated, or Paul reincarnated, or Jesus Christ, right? So like they assign themselves the characters in this book, they that puts them high up in the hierarchy. And I think a person can have a belief in a God without needing to feel they are that damn important to society,
Yeah,
right?
some of
To
them,
like the salvation of humanity.
some of
It's
them
like a
give them,
Jesus complex almost.
right. Some of them they give themselves missions from the doctrine, right. Some of them will say, well, they are here and they're they're gonna bring as many souls as they can to the Lord. Like this is their purpose, and they pick and choose what they want to do from the book. And they say, hey, we are at war right now. There's a war. It's a war of evil against God, and I'm gonna be fighting for God. I'm gonna be fighting on one side. It's the side of God, and this is the mission that I chose for myself, and I'm gonna do this with everything I got. I'm gonna try to convert as many people as I can. Like some people really do that, and others will curse you and stuff if you if you disagree with
Right.
them. They curse you.
But and it's a part of them feeling worthless, and um Mr. just said it helps them feel esteemed, but at the expense of other people, right? And that's a whole ass problem. And like I was saying at the beginning of the live, when the guy was commenting and the comments that he hopes something bad happens to me that brings me to my knees so that I will need his God. Like it's going that far, right? So that because you need to feel esteemed in your life because you've not found any other sense of purpose or hope, that you need to bring other people down.
Yeah, that's an expensive. It would be proper sense of self. Yeah,
That's literally what it is, though, Mister.
yeah.
But that's
It's
literally what
just
it is.
sad. It's sad. What the sad part about it, if you want to do this and you do your own research and thinking as an adult and you say that's what you want to do, I can care less. But it's sad that they force young kids into those doctrines and put them in a box they can never think out of as adult. It's so sad, you know.
Yeah, it's sad when it's sad when they do it to children, but they are not only doing it to children; they're doing it to adults too. Like there's adults who are still hiding from their parents that they are LGBTQIA or that they are non-believers. Like there are adults who can't tell their parents that they don't believe in a God.
They love the adult. For the kids, you just take them to church very early. You don't need any trauma. You don't need any struggle. You don't need hardship. But they love the adults that hit rock bottom and feel worthless and feel like they did everything wrong. They just fall back into church like just easily. They walk right in there and they love those. Because those are going to be like, yeah, I was living wrong. I used to be atheist. I used to do all the substances. I used to live crazy like a rock star. And Jesus changed my life. And those right here, you can't, once they go that way, you can't bring them back, bro. They're gone. These are gone. The church love these.
Yeah,
Like the guy says, I used to be gay. I'm gay no more.
that I am deliberate guy, but he's still
Yeah.
gay. That there are a lot of people who um, I've talked to that make the claim that they were once gay, but God changed them, but they are still gay, and they have to fight their temptations.
Yep.
And it's like that's not a God changing you. That's you denying who you are. Like if you are fighting, right, the desire to be
You
with
are
someone that
everything.
you are attracted to, that God didn't deliver you. You're just fucking denying it. That's like that prophetess who wrote that book. And she's literally saying that she still is gay, right? But she's God's girl or something like that, and she's just completely denying her sexuality. And she has a husband who has agreed to basically be her husband. Like they have an agreement. Like that's not a deliverance. That's a human solution to some shit that you've been told a God doesn't like. Like you concocted that solution. It wasn't a divine salvation or a divine miracle or some shit.
Yep. Hey, there's nothing that prayer does that can be done by humans, but they swear it works, and it works at a rate lower than chance. And they like to pray for people, right? If you disagree with them and they think you're going to hell, they say, I'll pray for you. I always tell them, look here. if you have one prayer to waste and you believe that your prayers work, please don't pray for me. Pray for the kids in Congo. Pray for Palestine. Pray for something that's bigger than us, you know? Don't waste a prayer on me, poor atheist. But they always want to pray for people. They either want to pray for you or curse you. It's you know, it's 50-50.
'Cause
You never know what
I
you're going to get.
I think it has to do with them, that what we talked about, like the sense of worthlessness. Like we're easy, right? We're easy targets for them. The What's going on in Congo, the hunger in the world, the P3DO and the churches, the genocide, the war, the greed, the slavery, all of that, the sex trafficking. That's bigger than what a human can attack, and then they know their God isn't doing anything about it, right? The God is allowing it to happen. But what's easy is attacking the mindset of another human, especially a human with a weak mindset, right? An indecisive mindset. That's easy.
Yep.
That's the best place for them to be able to say that's where their God is and where their God has assigned them.
They just pray for you before they crash out, and just, I pray for you and leave the room. Sometimes they said a prayer in the room. Can I just pray for you? Can I just pray for you? Like, dude, no, pray for something bigger. I'm not that important.
You're important to them and their self-esteem.
Backhanded prayers, low key telling you that they trying to help you not go to hell because they strongly believe that's where you're going. Let me throw that
Yep.
quick prayer at you. Try to see if I can keep you from going down there.
Yeah, because it helps them look down on you. It helps them feel bigger than you, and it validates what they've told themselves regarding where they are in this God's plan, how high they are, how high up they are in this God's plan,
Oh
where
yeah,
they've put themselves.
they got a whole lingo on how to talk down on people and sound holy, right? Just like when you want to curse people out in the email at work, they have the same type of lingo with the church
Yep.
lingo where they basically telling you ain't shit and you going to hell, but they say it like gracious and godly words. And they think it's funny when they do it, like they think it's cute.
Per my last email has is now God bless you. It's like per my last email is like bitch, right? God bless you is like fuck you. Yeah.
God bless your soul.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna pray for you. Yeah. Did you have anything else?
No, just yeah, just vibing, just chilling.
Well, I definitely thank you for coming up.
Yes, sir, no problem.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
All right. Yep. Bless your heart. Straw Hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how I knew that one was gonna be a. All right, y'all. If you are a believer, if you are deconstructing, if you are an atheist, right? But that's what they'll say. Bless your heart. The guest box is open. They know it is, and like I don't know how to even articulate what I'm seeing or what I'm feeling like when they type the shit that they type. When they say shit like, "I one day you're gonna cry out to God," like they don't hear how insidious that sounds and the intention that they put behind it. Like what motivated them to type that shit, and it's the fact that they feel uh attacked, like their identity feels attacked, and that's their uh way of fighting back. Like if they could get away with it and physically harm you for making them feel the way they feel when they hear you say you don't believe what they believe, because what they hear is, bitch, you stupid for believing what you believe. They would lash out and hit you. right? They would harm you. And if they could get away with it, they would do it over and over and over again. This is why I say believers don't have any power. Like if they had real power, shit, they be calling down she bears. They be calling down curses like Elijah did with the fucking she bears. That's why they type what they type. That's why they hope and wish what they hope. Like you literally came up here fucking snoring, but now you in the comments. You in the comments like where you were literally snoring just a minute ago. Now you up. Ebreeze.
Yes, hello?
Oh, I didn't hear you. I thought you were snoring. That's why I took you down. And I said I
Are you
should have known.
talking?
Hold on, not you. I didn't hear. No, I'm talking to the guest that I brought up, Straw Hat. I thought you were snoring. I didn't hear you say ma'am. And when I took you down, I was like, I should have known that was going to be a troll account. But if you were trying to come on stage, just send your request again. Ebreeze, how old are you? Oh, see, I'm
Yeah,
not the
I'm
only one that
29.
heard snoring. Heretic heard you snoring too. Like I'm not the only one that heard snoring. I I didn't hear you say anything. I heard you snoring. Ebreeze, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm 29.
Are you a believer in the God of the Christian Bible, or are you deconstructing, or are you an atheist?
I am an Orthodox Christian.
Okay, and what are your thoughts on the post?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here to address you said believers don't have power. I believe they do
What are
have
your
the
thoughts
power of
on the
influence.
post? What are your thoughts on the post? There's a post on the topic.
Okay. I reject the whole premise. You don't have any standard or foundation
I'm
to
not doing
criticize anything
philosophy.
as you are a
I'm not doing philosophy. This is my viewpoint. This is how I feel. Like I'm not doing
Yeah.
no philosophy. What are your thoughts? Talk to me like a human. I don't do that
Yes.
stupid philosophy shit.
That's why yes. That's why I think it's empty, it's plastic, it's just feelings. That's what I believe. You're
Okay,
just blowing off some
there's
steam.
still
You
the
don't
way I
have any
feel.
foundation
There's
or
still the way I
substance.
feel. And my feelings are valid. That's how I feel.
Okay. Okay. And I feel the opposite way, and my feelings
Okay,
are valid.
why do you
Now
feel the
what?
opposite way? Have a damn conversation. Like you so offended by it that you
That's my
can't have a
point.
conversation.
That's
Like
my point.
You're offended
Yeah.
because I said that.
What makes you think I'm offended?
All right, because you can't have a freaking conversation. Just if you feel the opposite, say I feel the opposite, and here's why. Like, damn,
Okay, so there are standards beyond feelings, right?
what?
There are standards beyond feelings. You just said my
Right. So
feelings are
explain
valid,
why
and
you
my
feel
feelings
the
are valid.
opposite. Why do you
Okay.
feel the opposite?
Yes. What are your standards first for
Why
judging
do you
anything?
feel I literally listed my reasons there. Why do you feel the opposite? You don't know how
Because
to
I
have
have
a
objective
conversation.
standards and you don't.
You objective
No,
standards about
that's
what?
what I thought. About
Objective
reality,
standards about
order,
what?
consistency, regularity, logic.
Who's talking
Logic
about
is,
that?
I
Who's
believe,
talking about that? Who's talking about that?
your whole foundation is empty. That's my
You don't
claim.
even know my
Empty. It
foundation.
has
Like
no
your dumbass
substance.
just wanna all you can only stick to
You
a fucking
reject
syllogism. You don't know how
objectivity.
to have a
That's
fucking
what.
conversation because you went to a fucking Philbro
Reject.
website and looked at
Reject.
a goddamn strategy
Reject.
and you don't know how to detour from that shit. You
Exactly.
don't know how to have a
It become
conversation about life,
exactly.
about reality. The reality is people like you who believe in a God make the world worse. That's my reality.
By
People like you
by
who
your
believe in
standards.
this God, people like you who believe in this God rarely allow yourselves to think.
Yeah. Have you ever thought maybe it's you who doesn't fit in
It
and
might
not
be
the
me. Fucking
believers?
tell me why it's me. Have a conversation, God damn it.
Wonderful. Don't be triggered. It's okay.
Yes,
Feelings
I am
happen. No
triggered. This
problem.
is
You
why.
have your
That's
world.
why
I
I
have my
think
world.
your
Okay.
Jesus. Shut up. I am triggered. This is why I think your Jesus is the worst thing that ever happened to
Because all
humanity.
you have is
Because you
feelings.
people
Bottom
don't
line,
even
you
know how to
don't have
fucking
any
be human
substance.
any fucking more. You act like goddamn it Jesus bots. You act like Jesus bots. To
What
have a
are you talking about?
conversation with y'all, it's like pulling teeth. I either got to teach you how to have a conversation. I got to hold your fucking hand. I got to go
Who are
through
you?
all kind of fucking stupid ass philosophical rhetoric to have a fucking conversation.
Because your whole foundation is empty.
You don't even
That's
know what the
it.
fuck
Simple
my
as that.
foundation is. You don't even know what the fuck my foundation is.
Subjectivity. Me, myself, and I.
Shut the
Me,
fuck up.
myself, and
Like
I.
all
That's it.
you
That's
don't,
what I
all
thought.
you're talking about is
Absolutely empty.
philosophical nonsense. All you're talking about is
Zero.
philosophical
You don't have any
nonsense.
foundation. Forget philosophy.
Shut the fuck
Me,
up. Like
myself, and
you
I
just
is
sound
institution.
dumb. You
That's
just
what I
sound
thought.
dumb.
Typical feminist bullshit. Try speaking without the mute button.
I'm
That's
not
what I
muting your
thought.
dumb ass.
Nothing.
I'm not muting your dumb ass.
Try
I'm muting
speaking
you
without the
because
mute button. If you
I'm
have any
muting you.
substance, empty doesn't.
I'm
Hold on,
muting
Lala.
That's
you.
They
all I thought.
can't. They said they can't see the live for some reason. They said the screen is black. Hold
They're
on.
talking about your brain. It's
Shut the
empty.
fuck up.
That's what I
That's
thought.
why. That's why
Just
you're
wanted
Oh
to
mad.
say.
man.
You're up here fucking
Zero.
mad
Zero
because
foundation.
I don't like your fairy tale ass Jesus. You have lost your shit because I said I don't like your fairy tale God. You like, do
I'm
you
not the
realize
one
that?
screaming.
Like, you came in here to be rude to a human that you
I'm
don't
not
even
the one
know
bitching.
because I don't like your fairy tale of a God.
I'm not the one bitching. I'm not the one screaming. I'm not the
I don't
one
give
with
a fuck.
feelings. I am the
I
one
don't
with
give you
facts.
you can't
That's
scream
what I
because you're Jesus. You can't scream because you need to be fake. You need to be fake and pretend like
thought.
your Jesus actually makes you a better person, but your personality fucking sucks.
But you don't know better. You don't know what the word better means. You have zero
Uh,
substance. It's just
I don't give a
feelings. Me,
damn.
myself, and I.
Okay,
Absolutely
cool,
zero. If you don't
cool.
give a damn, then we're done. You have
Okay,
nothing.
then get
That's
the
it.
fuck
You're
on.
lost.
Then get the fuck on.
I don't need to get
Shit,
the
it ain't
fuck
gonna
on
change
because
my
you
life.
feminists
Like, do you like?
emotionally
It's not
wear
going
me
to change my life.
out.
Nothing's gonna change in my life. When you leave, my life will be
because
the
it,
same.
because it's all about you. You
Then
don't care about
fucking
truth. That's the
leave.
point. It's you
Then
yourself
leave.
for yourself.
Then go.
Peace.
Then leave.
Peace out, feminists.
All right. Bye.
I'm out.
Crybaby ass.
Fucking
Your little whining
bitch
ass.
Okay.
ass.
You
Triggered.
Okay.
fucking whiner.
Triggered ass.
Oh.
Bitch
Am I
mode.
supposed to cry now because you call me the fuck? To a little whiny ass. Y'all, I gotta start the live back over because the screen is black. I don't know. Hold on. I don't know why.
Is it
Like, it
still
went
black?
black. Yeah, it went black. Let me see if I can stay on the stage, Lala.
Okay.
And I'm gonna try to shut this down. Let me see if I pause the live. Unable to pause. Okay, Lala, never mind. Lala, hop down. Well, never mind. Shit. Let me see. Let me do this. Let me shut TikTok Studio.